The chalice lighting is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. If you're zooming in and have a chalice, now is the moment to grab that and a match as well. As we light our chalice here on campus, please light yours as well. And if you would like, you may use the chat to post the name of the street where the chalice was lit. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us.
At this table, everyone is welcome. At this table, everyone is seen. At this table, everybody matters. No one falls between. At this table, you can say whatever. At this table, you can speak your mind. At this table, everything's forgiven. There's enough for everyone. So come as you are. Remember that the door is always open. Yes, come as you are. The perfect gift that you can bring is your heart. So come as you are. At this table, there will be no judgment. At this table, mercy has a seat. At this table, we're all sons and daughters. There's no place I'd rather be. So come as you are. Remember that our door is always open. So come as you are. That perfect gift that you will bring is your heart. Come as you are. Come as you are. At this table, everybody's welcome. At this table, everybody cares. At this table, everybody matters. So come, pull up a chair.
So beautiful, thank you. Our opening words this morning are by the Reverend Ludwig, entitled, "For What Shall We Give Thanks?" The wheel of the year has turned again, and once more Thanksgiving has arrived. How shall we sing our song of gratitude now? For what shall we give thanks? We shall give thanks for this moment, for friends near and far, for our breath, for love and courage, for strength, for delight, for beauty, for the tables round which we gather, for the food we enjoy with friends, seasoned with love and with memory. We give thanks for the sun and the moon and the stars in the sky, for the trees who have seen so much and still stand proud, stretching themselves to the sky, for the bright voices of children, and we welcome your voices as much as possible today, for the wisdom of elders, for actions that bless the world, for hard work that makes a difference, for art and music and celebration, for generosity, for compassion, for joy, for hope. For all these things we give thanks as we begin our worship together. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us in hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Please remain standing as we recite our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and servants are our mission. This is our great covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
Camilla, are you the person doing pastoral today? You're not Camilla, you're Renee. Oh, you are. Okay, come forward.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Camila Bajakovsky, and I'm a member of the Lay Pastoral Care team, along with Sue Bolins, Rob DeLong, and Meg Carroll. Reverend Eric, of course, is available for pastoral care when you need him, and feel free to contact him when you want to. But if you just want someone to talk to without any great advice, but just someone to listen, we are always available to speak with you. Our contact information is on the website, and it's also on your order of service. If you would like to share a joy or a sorrow at a future Sunday, you can leave it. We've changed the location. It's now at a little table on the right of the doors there. You can leave it there in a basket, and we will read it if you want us to at the service. Or you can also submit it online. We have a special new form that's on our website. Okay? So up to you how you would like to do it. Thank you, Nunetta. Now Reverend DL has to share, as well as Al will, after that, Al will light one final candle for all the joys and sorrows that we hold in our hearts.
So there's two additional ones I want to share with you today. One, Reverend Eric asked me to tell you, and one happened last night. This is the one from Reverend Eric. In recent days, anti-Semitic acts have been increasing again, and the East Greenwich clergy community joins with many other interfaith communities in unequivocally standing against anti-Semitism and hate speech. With these on the rise against the Jewish community, we are reminded and emboldened in the belief that there is no space for hate, bigotry, and oppression and violence in our society. We are particularly mindful that anti-Semitism has often appeared in insidious forms to undermine and divide movements like ours for social justice. We must fight such rhetoric with love and acceptance of all people's faiths and traditions. And the second one, last night at an LGBTQ-oriented bar in Colorado Springs, there was a shooting, and it was a hate crime. And I'm going to light for both of these. I lit the last for all the joys and sorrows left unsaid in our hearts. Yolanda, just so you see, what we see on the screen is a single person's name, if you're able to correct that. We're going to go on with the service. So I'm going to begin today with not a sermon, but a homily, so that's shorter. There we go. I begin today with a version of Thanksgiving that Ted Resnikoff, a UU, offered about a decade ago after a lot of research and studying and listening. And this is what he says. He says, many of us were taught that in 1621, Plymouth colonists and Wampanoag Indians shared an autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations in the colonies. But he goes on to say, This isn't the only one. And we want to offer you instead a telling of the history of Thanksgiving from a Native American, an indigenous point of view. So Ramona Peters, the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe's tribic historical preservation officer, joins him, and they tell the story in kind of a back and forth interview. And this is how she begins. When you hear about the Pilgrims and the Indians harmoniously sharing the first Thanksgiving in 1621, the Indians, referred to so generically, are the ancestors of the contemporary members of the Wampanoag Nation who live here. As the story goes, pilgrims who sailed from England on the Mayflower and landed at what became Plymouth, Massachusetts in 1620 had had a good harvest. So then Governor William Bradford of Plymouth organized a feast to celebrate the harvest and invited a group of indigenous allies, including the Wampanoag chief Massasoit, to the party. The feast lasted for 3 days. And according to chronicler Winslow, he sent 4 men on a mission to get all of these different foods and fowls to make this huge party. And ever since, Americans have celebrated this as Thanksgiving. But Ramona goes on to say this isn't exactly true. She says it was Abraham Lincoln, who I never knew, who used the theme of pilgrims and Indians eating happily together. He was trying to calm things down after the Civil War when people were divided. It was a nice unity story. But what really happened, she says, is we made a treaty. The leader of our nation, Yellowfeather Asamaquin Massasoit, made a treaty with John Carver, the first governor of the colony. The treaty basically said, from the indigenous point of view, we'd let them be there and we'd protect them against enemies and they would protect us. So she goes on to tell the story. Have you ever heard about the story of Squanto assisting in the white people's planting their corn? This was the first time they had had a successful harvest, and they were celebrating it. It hadn't been easy for them. This was a new land with new ways of being, and they were pretty hungry. So they had this good harvest, and they started shooting guns into the air in celebration. And the indigenous folks who were nearby, this kind of freaked them out, right? If guns are going off in the air. So Massasoit gathers up like 90 warriors and goes to Plymouth Rock ready to have a battle because that's what they think is happening. So when they arrive, they talk through a translator and find out, no, it's actually a harvest celebration. So they decided to stay and make sure that was actually a true story because they'd seen other things happen in other landings. And while they were there, both the white people and the indigenous folks, they went out, they hunted, they gathered food, deer, ducks, geese, and fish. And again, this is Ramona talking. This is an indigenous individual. She said they, the colonists, were very vulnerable and we protected them. You can see throughout their journals that they were very nervous. And when they were nervous, they got very aggressive. And so the guy, Ted, that's interviewing, he said, so the pilgrims didn't invite the Wampanoags to sit down and eat turkey and have some beer. And she said, no, people did eat together. But what was portrayed as the first Thanksgiving wasn't that. It was a celebration of the sort that indigenous individuals had all the time for various reasons. The English were relying on them, and they regarded them as savages nonetheless. So what Thanksgiving actually is one of the first times we sat down peaceably, but the history didn't exactly lead us there. So his last question to Ramona is, so do you regard Thanksgiving as a positive thing? And she responds, as a concept, Thanksgiving is a great idea. It's important that we give thanks. For me, this is her speaking, it's a state of being. You want to live in a state of thanksgiving, that you use creativity that the Creator gave you. You use your talents, you find out what those are, and you cultivate them, and you give thanks in action. And that is the briefest version of the Thanksgiving story I could think to tell you. So we continue to a story from Jessica about Plymouth Rock and a lot of other rocks.
Hi, I'm Jessica Hess, your Director of Religious Education. This morning, we're talking about rocks. It's true. I want to talk to you about one of the most famous rocks in our country, Plymouth Rock. But first, I want to tell you about some special rocks in my life. I don't know if you have special rocks in your life, but I have special rocks in mine. So many, many years ago, now, probably 9 or 10 years ago, I had a dear congregant who was the most enthusiastic Unitarian Universalist you'd ever meet. He got very sick and he passed away very quickly. And at his celebration of life, they asked us each to take a rock or a pebble and put our intentions about embracing life into the rock. Then we put it into a bowl. And then at the very end of the service, we went up and took a different rock. So we had someone else's intention that we took with us. So I don't know what intention is in my pebble, but I think of him every time. And so it was important in my life to have that moment, to know about what was important to pursue in my life. And actually, it was that celebration of life for Keith Orts that helped me decide to become a religious educator. Later, I had a minister give me a charge for being a religious educator, and as part of that, there were things like bubbles to remember to have fun, but also one rough rock, like this one, and one smooth rock, because sometimes things can really be difficult, and other times they can just go smoothly. And so when I see those rocks, I think of that minister and that service. And then finally this summer, I had a former congregant, teenager, and their mom come visit me on their way to a UU camp. And we decided to paint kindness rocks, which is really popular in my area. So this is the kindness rock that I painted. We painted lots, actually. We painted a good half a dozen of them. And you find them along the trails and in the parks here where I live. And it just brings people a piece of kindness in their day, all from a rock. So I think of those two congregants when I see that rock. So, Plymouth Rock, is it what we think it is? Is it what we're told it was? I don't know. I do know, actually. So Plymouth Rock was not considered Plymouth Rock until later. It is there in Plymouth, Massachusetts, the next state over from you all. And it is said to be the place where William Bradford and the Mayflower Pilgrims disembarked from the Mayflower. And that's where they stepped foot in America. Here's the thing, though. It wasn't actually claimed to be this spot until 121 years later by a 95-year-old man. So, you do the math on that, something doesn't add up, right? And then, I don't know if you've ever been to see Plymouth Rock. Who's been to see it? Everybody raise your hand if you've been to see it. Yeah? And how disappointed were you? Same. It's very disappointing, isn't it? Well, part of the reason that it's disappointing is because they tried to move the rock then in 1774, and it broke in half because they were trying to take it to the middle of town away from the water where it still is, but only half of it is still there. That's why it's so small, because half of it got moved into town and then later was put into the museum. So, sometimes it's just a rock. Sometimes it holds a story. So whether you have a rock or two or four like I do, Whether it holds a story for you or it holds a story for the nation, it may not be exactly what we were told it was. Blessed be.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 317, We Are Not Alone.
UU churches are built on congregational polity, which means it is the people who create this place, sustain this place, and live the values of this place. One way we sustain this congregation and live our values is to take a morning offering, which we share with a different organization each month that does good works in our community. Founded in 2010, the nonprofit Edisia produces specialized foods that target at different stages of malnutrition. They partner with humanitarian and organizations like UNICEF, WPF, and U.S. Agency of International Development, which distribute their products all over the world. Edisia is based in North Kingstown. To read more about Edisia, click on the link in the web. To donate, go to westminsteruu.org. The other half of this offering goes to support the good work of this congregational. We will now give the offering, and it will be received with gratitude.
May your generosity continue to do good work in the world. So before I go on, did we just not know that hymn? Okay. Things I'm learning. Thank you for your patience with me. Choir tends to go better. Things you learn. Thank you all. All right, so we come to the part that I think you've all been here for, the Cornbread Communion. The Cornbread Communion, I'm told, is a beloved tradition of this congregation and other congregations. It's that time of year where we express gratitude for our freedom and the abundance, and we celebrate this ritual, mindful all the same of those who do not have home, do not have abundance, and do not have safety. And as I think we can attest, food is a symbol of home. But what if you suddenly found yourself in a place where the food was different? Imagine what it would be like to flee your homeland and the foods to which you are accustomed. Imagine finding yourself somewhere where maybe you don't speak the language, and even the basic fruits, vegetables, food, it's all different. And I gotta say, this happened when I moved to Rhode Island from California, but that's an aside. Just as teff is indigenous to the African continent and millet is indigenous to the Asian continent, corn is indigenous to this continent. So as we share the cornbread this morning, let us hold in our hearts all those here and far from for whom home is no longer a place of safety. Let us hold in our hearts all those here and abroad who have been forced to leave their homes. Let us hold in our hearts all those here and abroad for whom home no longer exists. As we come by to offer you cornbread, please raise your hand or your order of service if you prefer gluten-free. Before we get to our prayer, I want to say two things. One, a huge thank you to Beth Gibson and all of our youth and young adult helpers without whom we could not have done this. But I also want to say thank you to Beth because I was worried that the bread was going to be like right here and I was going to spend the entire service hungry. All by which to say, please feel free to enjoy your cornbread right now. But I am going to offer to have us, if you're comfortable, hold hands. So you decide what you want to do.
No, I want to hold hands.
We can hear you online, folks. So, spirit of life and love, let us join hands and hearts in gratitude on this wondrous day where we have the abundance of our lives before us. This day of bounty, we remember all those who have and don't have. We remember all those who feel safe and those who are afraid, those who are lonely and those who are together, those who suffer and those who are safe. We wish for this abundance that we can taste to be shared, for fear to become love, for the lonely to feel welcomed, and for the suffering to know rest and joy. For the labors, the love, the care that gave us these delights each and every day, we offer our gratitude. For the nourishment of our spirit and our bodies, the challenges that strengthen us, the friends we have on this journey, we offer our gratitude. For all that is our lives, for these good gifts, we offer our gratitude. May gratitude for our abundance move us to act with compassion with all those who need it. Amen. And it is delightful, really delightful to watch you enjoy this. So one more thing we're going to do together today. Jessica spoke of our connections to rocks and how they can be special ones. So Beth and our youth helpers are now going to distribute rocks for each of you to take home with you. We'll distribute them and then we'll do a bit of a meditation together. Rocks are special things. There's a book I recommend to you if you have not read it before, and it's entitled Everybody Needs a Rock. And it is a true statement. I'm going to tell you a very quick story off topic. My partner, Mimi, who is, among other things, a yoga teacher, once sent me to get rocks for a New Year's Eve ritual. And I guess we weren't sufficiently clear on what size rocks we were talking about. And so I went down to Chafee, that beach, and I came back lugging rocks, and I brought them out, and I guess each one was about yay big. And she's like, I said rocks, I didn't say boulders. I'll just say rocks come in various shapes and sizes. What matters is our connection with them. They can be touch points when we need a reminder of calm, of love, of care for others. So I invite you, as you're willing, to be comfortable in your chair, maybe put your feet on the ground if they reach there. Lower your gaze or close your eyes. Begin with a few relaxing breaths. Just breathe in and out with me. Maybe intentionally slower your breath. Breathe in for 4 and out for 4. Do it in a way that works for you. And at first, just see what your body says. See if there's a place of discomfort or pain, and imagine inviting the breath into that part of your body. And now move that breath slowly to your heart space, to your chest. Be aware of what you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling joy, calm, maybe sadness or grief, maybe anxiousness. Just be aware of it and breathe into it. And offer yourself compassion for whatever it is that you're feeling right now. And as you continue to breathe and to hold that rock in your hand, ask yourself, is there anything or anyone that I feel grateful for? Bring those people into your mind. Hold them in gratitude for all that you feel for them. And breathe in that feeling of gratitude. And in this season that can feel so good, but also a little stressful, breathe into something you're looking forward to. Perhaps some time to rest, a gathering, maybe just time out in nature. And hold that rock as you breathe. Just feel whatever's present for you. And as you take a few more breaths, put that rock, if you would, against your heart. Ask what else you might be grateful for. What other things in your life you want to express gratitude about. And sometimes it's not just gratitude. There can be other emotions mixed in, and that's fine. And before you come back into the room, I just want you to feel all the gratitude around you, all the people around you, breathing in and breathing out this gratitude across our connections. And as you close, as you open your eyes again, as you come back into the room and you feel that rock in your hand, I want you to remember that anytime you need to feel this, your rock is your talisman, your walk is your reminder. Just put it in your hand and drop back into this space. So let's remain seated. And I'm going to presume we know hymn number 1010, Oh, We Give Thanks. Do we? Okay, so it goes like this. I'm not going to sing because I love you guys. And it says, "Oh, we give thanks for this precious day." And it's meant to be sung with some energy. Can you give us an example, Nonette, of how it sounds? Oh, Our closing words are by the Reverend Peter Fredericks. And it goes like this: "This Thanksgiving, we don't only give thanks, we choose it. We make this choice of thanks with courageous hearts, knowing that it is humbling to say thank you. We choose to see your sacred generosity, aware that we live in an infinite circle of gratitude, that we are all guests at a table with which gifts are passed and received. We will not let anything opposed to love take over this table. Instead, we choose grace, free and unmerited love, the giftedness of life everywhere. In this choosing and in this making, we will pass gratitude on to the world." Please join us in our closing hymn, closing song.